My name's Alistair Wood. I work at Publicis as the Chief Creative Officer. And here I was sort of nominally in charge of the jury, which was a sort of honor because, you know, as you may have observed, I'm not actually from the Philippines. So it was sort of interesting to invite someone who has worked here for over 2 years now. So I do understand what makes people tick here, if you like. I get it, but I also have a sort of fresh perspective on it. So I was there to keep the foreign jurors in check and to encourage the local jurors. I think, or maybe that was me, I felt the standard overall was slightly lower. The number of entries was higher, which was very encouraging. But I think last year we had a couple of major advertisers who were doing campaigns right across the board, who were absent this year. And that actually made a big sort of dent in the overall entries, if you like, because of course their work was spread across all the media. So the best work tended to be only in one media, which was, I don't know if it's disappointing, but it was just slightly down on last year. There was still plenty of good work there, so it was pretty encouraging, yeah. It's very important to encourage advertisers, actually, that this is a show for them as much as for creatives. So, you know, the Philippines has some big international companies here, and I think it's very important we encourage them to do really good work. So I was a little bit anti advertising agencies just thinking, oh, well, this is our day-to-day stuff that sort of pays the bills and everything, and we do the really interesting stuff on CSR. So I think it's very important that we have two sort of separate streams of creativity going on. I guess the one major change, which was this year for the first time, I think, we awarded 2 Grand Prix, one for film on an existing brand and one for CSR. I think it's very encouraging that creators can now think that, you know, they don't want to prioritize one over the other. There was only 1 or 2 that had sort of a split vote, if you like, so that's remarkably few. I mean, they either sort of made it to the bronze level or, frankly, they just didn't get out the starting block. So the best work sort of, I mean, it's sort of voted for itself, really. There was very little contentious stuff. There was actually not that much debate, which is, maybe you think it's a bad sign, but I think it was a good sign, yeah. The best works clearly stood out, yeah. I think I was slightly wary of too much what I call emotional work. I mean, I have been here long enough to understand that it, more so than any other country apart from maybe Thailand, that emotional work does resonate here. So I am well aware of that. But I think it's become the sort of default option for advertisers, that they sort of would rather talk to consumers through an emotion rather than the sort of strengths of their product. So what happens is all the work becomes interchangeable, and you tell a very emotional story, and then at the end of it you sort of slap your product on the end. So it's very hard to remember which emotion applied to which product. Having said that, you know, the best work, and certainly one of the Grand Prix winners, was an emotional piece, but it was absolutely relevant and applicable. So it's fantastic when it works for you, but it shouldn't be the sort of default position. Now, we felt that ad agencies and maybe advertisers sort of piggybacking emotions, really. Maybe there should be a separate award system, which is the Goosebumps Award or something, you know, where you measure it on the amount of goosebumps. I think there has been a sort of slight sea change, really, in advertising over the last 3 years, which I've noticed, for me, the best work from around the world has been CSR work, but I also noticed this trend for really creative agencies to take on a project, sort of almost extracurricular work, which takes them anything up to 2 or 3 years to execute. But that allows them to get the craft skills right, and they have to, use they don't have any budget, so the same applies here. They don't have any money, but somehow or other, by talking to the right people and networking, they manage to get these enormous projects off the ground. It would be great if people stop this sort of short-termism and thinking, oh well, award season's coming up, let's bash out some extracurricular stuff, and actually take a much more fundamental long-term view and therefore produce much more substantial crafted work.